I didn't realize you're going to be reading that now. Thank you. I spoke in many places around the world, but I never had a microphone in front of me. So I'm going to do my best to share my journey with you. Okay. When I was 23 years old, I had an interesting experience. I thought I was Mashiach, and I started experiencing this very, very extraordinary, elevated experience. I thought I was right, and everything around me felt like it was nothing, like it was just kind of like debris of what was real. I started doing all kind of strange things. If you know anything about, mental health, so you can read in the books, spreading my money around, not getting to work on time, not needing to work anymore because I'm here to save the world. My parents didn't really know what to do with me, but they had a little experience with other children. So they told me that they're taking me for a trip. They got me into a car. I think 2 sisters were sitting beside me. And I got to Hadassah Hospital. I was so excited. My parents are going along with me. We're going to go save all the people in the hospital. I'm going to get everyone healthy. When I walked into the emergency room, I felt like all the walls were closing on me. I realized they were there for me. And all of the, I would say, crazy, tsunami kind of thoughts flooded into my head. I didn't have so much patience to sit and wait for the psychiatrist to see me in the emergency room because, hello, like I'm here. You need to see me first. I couldn't sit. And when I got into the office, I kind of tried to convince the doctor that I was right, that I need him to help me save all the people. Before I know it, I was sent off to Eitanim to be hospitalized. I think I was there for a day or two. And before I knew it, the doctors weren't doing what I wanted them to do. I wanted them to talk to me. I wanted them to explain to me why I'm here, why I'm locked up, why I'm sleeping in a room with other crazy people. And the doctors didn't want to talk to me. They was like, we'll deal with you later. So I saw an opportunity. I ran out of the office, and I ran away from the hospital. Climbed over that giant yellow fence, yellow gate, and my poor parents, I knock on the door, I'm back. They didn't know how I got there. My next hospitalization was in the same episode in St. Vincent's Hospital in New York. Don't ask me how I got there, but I got there alive. And this ongoing experience happened, as Esther mentioned, like 5 times in 10 years. When I was diagnosed, it kind of made sense to me because now I have a reason for all what happened to me previously in my life, right? I was diagnosed with ADD, with ADHD. I didn't get along in my class. I didn't get along with my teachers. I didn't get along with the community. There was a very specific way that I was supposed to be. I grew up in Jerusalem in a religious household. And I had a lot of questions. I wanted to know why we do things. I wanted to know. I really wanted to know. And there wasn't, having 9 siblings and a big community where all kind is supposed to go in a certain way. There's not so much time to answer questions about the deep meaning of life. And that's how I was. I was deep. One of the times I asked one of my neighbors a question about a conversation they were all having. And she told me, "Come on, Yael, don't be a yachne." And when she said that to me, it met everything I believed about myself, that I was too much, that I'm just bothering everyone. And it kind of like told me, be quiet. Just deal with yourself. You're too much for us. Everywhere I walked in life, too much met me. I never realized that the things I believed in myself it's kind of like they always confirmed when someone else said it. It was like, yeah, that's real, that's me. And I had another reason to be ashamed of myself, or another reason to not believe that I can be who I am in the world. Ten years ago, one of my friends, I'm 40 years old now, so about 7-8 years after this happened, for the first time of being diagnosed, I went through many fights with myself. Yes, to be on medication, not to be on medication. I'm on medication, I'm okay. I get off medication, I have an episode. I feel great. I had to come to terms with, okay, if medication is the way of me to live, this is the only way, I'm going to do whatever I have to do. And for 12 years I did. But it was hard because I couldn't live any other place. I had to stay in Israel or in New York with a certain group of friends. I had to be near family. I always had to have security in other people. And I know it's a great thing. I know community is a beautiful thing. But to know that you cannot stand on your own, it's a very hard thing to live with. Because everyone could give me everything. Everyone can say they love me. Everyone can say, look how great you are and how talented you are and what a great cook and you can paint. But if you don't believe it in yourself, it's all dust. Doesn't matter. There's no meaning to it. So I accepted, okay, this is my disease. I didn't like how I felt because I felt like I lived in a fish tank and all the world was outside and I had a fish tank on my head. Like I couldn't connect. So as I said, when I was 30 years old, one of my closest friends invited me to this conference that she did in London. My friend is married to Rabbi Rosenblatt of London, and I thought, okay, if she's invited me, on one of my, I forgot to mention that in these 8 years of struggling tremendously, every chance I got, I ran away. And when I ran away, I didn't run away to the park or to the neighbors. I ran away to New York to live with my grandmother. So every time I got upset, I would make a ticket. And that was my route. That was my safety. So I get to this conference in London, and I'm sitting in a room with many Hasidic ladies from Stamford Hill. And I hear my friend telling stories about what happens in life when we don't pay so much attention to what we think. She gave a few examples. And while I was listening in this 3-day conference, the first day I probably fell asleep the whole time. And when I got up, I said, Hannah, I don't know, I think I missed what you said. I don't know if I'll remember. Maybe you can write it down. Maybe you can give me your pamphlet. She said, don't worry, if you fell asleep, you probably needed it. I was like, okay. No one ever let me sleep in a class. After the 3 days, I realized 3 things. That whatever they're saying, I don't really understand. But it sounds like kind of like a Bible to what's happening in my head. Until then, with all the therapy that I did and all the help I got, no one talked to me about that. They asked me about what I went through and what my family and my father and my mother and in my episodes, I went through crazy things that kept me in a PTSD state for 10 years. I didn't even care about the bipolar. Okay, I went into the hospital. I felt like I was dead. I woke up again. That's fine. But that story, I was killing myself with every day, every moment, every feeling I had. That story was the blame. So when I sat in this room, I felt for the first time that someone's speaking my language. They're not afraid. They're sharing what they went through. And they're talking about how it felt to be upset and yell at your husband, and having an experience where yelling at your husband and he just sat there and listened. And he didn't do anything. And a few minutes later he came and said, I see you're going through a hard time, can I help? He didn't take the information that she was yelling at him when she was feeling emotions to his advantage or against her. He didn't pay attention to the content. He listened and understood that she was going through something right now. And it wasn't about him. And also it wasn't about her. It was about the experience that she was having. So I leave these 3 days with understanding one thing. That if I would understand that my experience really comes from inside and my problem is not outside here, that would save my life. And I went on a journey. started listening to all kind of people. They were talking specifically about Sydney Banks' teaching that's called the 3 Principles, but I know that everyone is pointing to the same place. It doesn't matter where you're coming from. A few years later, I go back to the conference, and a psychiatrist, his name is Dr. Bill Pettit, he's speaking about if we would know the connection between our spiritual and our physical world, we would be able to let go of everything. Also medication. Now, he wasn't saying get off medication, but I got really mad because I spent years suffering in, out, without. And I started learning that I'm a spiritual being, so I had a little ego, and I got very mad at him. The next year, I went to the same conference. I sat in the same room. And someone else asked the same question. And when he answered, I got really quiet for some reason. And it was like I saw how all of my manic episodes were created in my mind. I saw it happen. And in that moment, I knew I was healthy. I knew that there was nothing in the world that can bring that experience back, because I saw how it was created. So now I can stop creating it. That is something that I can't teach anyone. Sorry, doesn't come in a pill. But I decided that I'm going to do this on my own, with the help that I can get. And I started leaning off medication. In the beginning, it was because I knew I can do it. So I was very proud of myself, and I think there was a lot of, ego involved. I had to show myself that I could do it, that I could live without this thing. Living without waking up in the morning, did I take it, did I not take it? That everywhere I go, I'm here for a month, maybe being free. Being as I was born. I didn't know so much about feelings. I just knew about thinking. So when I went off the medication, first this really cool experience happened. I was working as a chef in a restaurant, one of the restaurants in Jerusalem. Friday afternoon, after a whole day of work, we're all cleaning everything. And there's music blasting and soap, and I'm cleaning the oven. And suddenly I realized that all of the thoughts of all of my episodes are coming like in a big, big cloud. And I don't know what to do because I'm at work, and I'm thinking, well, should I go to the hospital? Should I call someone? But it's coming. And I decided to get back to what I was doing and clean the oven. And when I did, the cloud moved. I started freaking out. I told my friends, I think I just had a manic episode and it went. I don't know what happened. And they're looking at me and they're like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? And that's when I realized again, oh my God, it's just in my head. It's in my head. And it's gone. A few months later, I started feeling kind of, I wouldn't say high, but a little high. There's terms for everything I'm saying. You could ask the professionals. And I don't realize it. And I go through this like mini experience with myself. I do a little crazy things, but not so crazy. And there was this event that woke me up. And I realized that there's something else for me to learn. Because if it's just in my head and I understand that it's thinking, why is this feeling coming up? What about this? Why is this not gone? A few years ago, I was sitting in my apartment right after a breakup. I'm in my new house with myself and all my boxes. And I was planning to sit Shiva on my relationship. I was planning to get some snacks and sit and, watch movies and just detach from the world, because I have to be avela. I forgot the name. I have to mourn, right? All what I thought it's going to be, and all my expectations, and whatever's it's just gone. How could it be? I don't deserve this. Didn't I give everything I could? And I'm sitting in my house, and everything starts building up. And I kind of feel like I'm going to explode. And I call my friend. She says, "What do you feel?" And I said, and it's not right, and why does this happen to me, and I'm supposed to be, and she says, "Where do you feel it?" And I said, "What?" She said, "Where do you feel it?" I said, "Oh, okay, thank you, bye." I hang up the phone. I walk 3 meters to my couch. And I sit down. And I do what one of my mentors, Mavis Karn, said. Follow the feeling, and it's going to take you home. And I distract myself from my mind by focusing on my feeling. And I think that, I don't know if it's going to work, but right now I'm feeling like there's just going to be blood shattered everywhere, because it's so strong. It's taking over me. And I focus my attention on the feeling. And I go back and back, and it takes me for a ride. And that time it felt like it came up. There were tears. It felt like a dragon shooting fire, like it all came out of me. And I sat on my couch. I don't know how many minutes, a few minutes passed. And suddenly I was just sitting on my couch. I felt okay. I felt calm. I felt relaxed. I felt loved. And there was no one around me. And that's when I understood that first of all, everything I need is inside me already. And if I'm really, really not afraid of experiencing, I won't put the experience back in the storage room. It's going to be released. So I have a few seconds. I'm just 5 minutes. Oh, 5 minutes is a lot. Okay. So what I started doing is sharing my story. Why do I do that? Because till then, I never heard of someone recovering from an experience like this. That if this happened to you, or you grew up in a certain way, or your surroundings were like this, or if you have this ease, it's a life sentence. For me, that dis-ease became my greatest helper, to know who I am. And I want to share a moment about the beautiful mechanism that we have, which is our body and our mind. Bipolar, right? Manic, depression. What happens in depression? Some people don't want to live. Some people feel like they're not worthy. Life is not worthy of having them. We get to a state that we want to take our life because we're so deep, so far away from life. So look at this beautiful mechanism for a moment. What our brain doesn't want us to die. Because if we die, brain dies with it. Whoop, let's go up. You're Mashiach. You can save everybody. You can help. It takes you out of that state in order to show you that life is worthy. And what I was told, that it's a problem. So of course we have to understand so much more about the mechanism, and there's so much more to share about it. But one of the things I had to let go of, and still do till today, is everything I thought of myself in order to create a new life. I can't believe that I'm not worthy and want to be worthy in the same time. They don't go together. I had to go through a journey of forgiving myself for everything I thought about myself. No other people were involved, even though I thought so for so long, that everyone else is my problem. There's no other people thinking. I'm doing it on my own. So, I just want to say thank you for all of you, for being here and listening.